Okay, welcome to how to set up your MiLights using Smartthings. So here I have a MiLight controller and a MiLight bulb. And here I have my Smartthings app running on my iPhone. And here's an Android controller with the other applications. The Auto Magic Premium and the UDP Center are the two apps that you'll need to have this all set up. So first things first is find out what your MiLight controller IP address is. So for me, it's 192.168.111. Made that nice and easy for me to remember there. Second, you're going to go to Smartthings, graph.api.smartthings.com, log in, create an account, and link up your hub. Under My Devices, create a simple simulated switch by clicking on Add New Device. Create a name for it. I'm going to call this Office Lights. Network ID, I'll just repeat that name. I'm going to make it, as I said, a simulated switch. Make sure it's published. The location will be my home hub. And create. Now if I go to my Smartthings app, should be able to refresh my things list. And there we have my office lights. So right now they're on, now they're off. But right now they don't do anything because they're not connected to any commands. Coming back to go to your smart apps. You'll see I have several HTTP request apps installed for different functions. And we're going to need to add another one for this demonstration. So if you go to Marketplace, Smart Apps, scroll down to My Apps, you'll see the HTTP request. Click. In order to get the HTTP request app that I've created, you're going to have to go to the Smartthings forum. Do a simple search for MiLights. You'll find the thread I created and all of the code. All that's required is that you copy the code. Go back to your Smartthings dashboard. Under My Smart Apps, click on New Smart App. Once that loads, choose the From Code and paste all of that and hit Create. Once it's created, go up to Publish, click on For Me. You'll get a message saying it was successful. Save it. And now when you go to the Marketplace, under Smart Apps, My Apps, you should have that one. Now you see I have two because I've added a second one. But all you'll need really is just the one. Every time you assign a switch, it'll create a new app that runs specifically for that switch and those paths. AP request, click on that, and here you can assign that switch to this app. So I'll select Office Lights, done. The IP address of my Android, which we can find by going to our Wi-Fi settings. Here you can see my IP address as 1.195. So I'll just duplicate that here. My port will remain as default 8080. The path, this is going to be a custom path that you create from Automagic. So when you go into Automagic, you'll click New Flow. I'm sorry. Let me back up here. Oops. Let's create a trigger. We're going to hit New, find HTTP request, and here's where the path should match your path on your Smartthings. So I'm just going to create a custom one of Office on as one word after /Automagic/. Again, leave your port as default, and the rest of these settings should all be the same. So save that, then create an action, create a new action. We'll go to our plugin. Here's a plugin. Plugin I've selected as UDP sender. Configure it. The destination IP should be the IP we found earlier from our router of 1.1.11 for my MiLight controller. 192.168.1.111. Now the port is going to be depending on your MiLight controller. I think the default is 4488. Let me find that out for sure. So your port should be 8899. That's going to depend on your MiLight. The text or hex value, we can go to MiLight.com, or I'm sorry, Limitless LED.com/dev, and here we can find the codes that we need to send to our MiLight for turning them all on, off, disco, color, any code you can think of that you can normally control with your MiLight controller, you'll find on the /dev page of the Limitless LED controls. You might have to scroll down for a full list of the exact codes we want, and depending on what type of bulb you have, depends on what kind of code you'll need. Alright, so here we have the summary of codes, all 3 hex codes via port 889 UDP to IP address. So if you look here at the Limitless LED white bulbs, the RGB bulbs, or the RGB white bulbs. So for mine, these are just the white bulbs in these lamps. Once I find my code, I'm just going to copy that, put it in my app as the hex value. So that was 350055 to turn them all on. Then hit save. Save that. And you should be good. So once you get an HTTP request sent to your Android, it'll send a UDP code to your Wi-Fi controller, which will turn the lights on. If you exit that, of the default name of Flow 2, you can actually test it by hitting execute, and there we have it. our UDP sender works. So we know that from the Android to the bulb, everything is complete. Go ahead and turn that off. See, that only controls the on function. Now if you wanted to control the off function, you can just... So again, off is on, execute, turns our lamp on. Now if we want to turn it off, simply create a new flow. God damn it. Alright, so again we're going to create our trigger. A new trigger, because we want them all to be separate. We're going to find HTTP request. There it is. We're going to change this to custom path of /office off. Save that. Add an action once that occurs to send the code from our plugin of UDP sender. Configure it to our Wi-Fi controller of our MiLights to 192.168.1.1.1. Again, same port 8899. And our hex code, we're going to grab back from the code list on limitlessled.com of 39055 for off. Save that. Save that. Rename that to put it as office off. If I can type. And go back, turn that on. When it executes, that turns off. When this executes, that turns on. So now we have our two paths to turn on and off our lamp. If you come back to Smartthings, the path for turning the switch on is going to be what we input here. Again, that's our trigger. So we have it as /automagic /office off. On for the on path. And you can simply copy that path depending on what you named it, because it can be anything you want, and just modify it to say office off, as in our case here. So that's for the off path, and then our on path is just office on. So we have on and off. We can choose it for specific modes if we want. We can assign a name. But don't forget to set your switch. So for this one, I'm going to call it Office Lights. It's a virtual switch I created, as you saw on the developer page. Now that I'm done, you can see it is installed and automating. And if I go to Things, so now you can see when I turn on Office Lights, it executes the flow, turns the lamp on. Turn off Office Lights, executes the flow for off, turns that off. And I can still independently use my MiLight controls to turn it on and off. This creates a problem though, so if my lights are physically on because I use my switch, it does not reflect in your Android or your Smartthings app. So you can see I turned my lights on, it still executes the flow, but they're already on. So in order to be able to control them again, I have to match that setting and this setting so that that reflects correctly. Just turning it on and off usually syncs them up. So I want them back on. I can turn it off with this. It does not reflect on here because there's no backwards compatibility for communications. As long as I switch it, it'll still execute the flow. It doesn't do anything, but once I switch it back on, now it is synced and it will continue normal operation, so you can time it and use this virtual switch as you would with any other routines. I have it set up for Amazon Alexa or bedtime routine or a sunrise routine, and that way all you have to do is add it as the virtual switch and it will control your MiLights. So that should be everything you need to create your MiLight integration with SmartThings. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please let me know.